America. My name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you live every week, and today I'm going to give you two shows. Or I gave you a show earlier this week, and I'm going to give you a show now. One's just going to be a short hit on why J.D. Vance won the debate last night. It's not obvious to some people that J.D. Vance won the debate last night, but let me be very clear. If your priority is picking the candidate who is going to secure you and your community good jobs and a house, J.D. Vance identified the problem. You might not agree on how he's going to get there, but at least he was the one who identified the problem. The problem is people don't have good jobs and houses, and they're not in a secure way. And Tim Walz is in the unfortunate position of, one, trying to offer people things that aren't good jobs and houses, and two, in the position of having to say Biden's already providing the conditions for these things, right? So that's an unenviable position that Tim Walz finds himself in, saying that, well, Biden's already offering you secure jobs, good jobs, and an opportunity for a house. That's simply not the case. And the credit that Kamala Harris is floating isn't actually sufficient in a way that it'll affect the market, right? So Vance is clear that, a lot of your problems will be solved if you had access to good jobs and a house. So we need to build more housing and make and produce things in the United States and move production onshore in the United States. Now, Trump doesn't have a great record of doing those things, but at least Vance diagnosed a problem. Even if his solution, that means cut off the immigrants who are taking your jobs and outbidding you for the house, isn't really the right solution. At least he's diagnosing the problem, and the problem is people don't feel secure in their access to good jobs and housing. You take that problem seriously, you win the election, right? And then you throw on top of that it's not that much more complicated than that, because all of the periphery issues and all the periphery little goodies that Democrats tend to offer in lieu of good jobs and houses, they fail to provide the same sort of empowerment that working a good job and having a house do, right? So you can talk about, child care and universal free lunches and things like that, but Americans want a good job and a house. And they should want a good job and a house. And that way they can, figure out their solutions on their own, because they have a good job with discretionary income and time, and they have a house. So Walz won because he diagnosed the problem. Now, he doesn't have a history of he has a history of addressing the problem rhetorically, but not actually, and Trump doesn't have a history of securing Americans good jobs and houses. But that's Walz's problem. I mean, that's Vance's problem. Walz's problem is that they're in power right now, so anything that they could do, they would be advocating for and doing right now. Vance's problem is that Trump had a time, and all he seemed to pass was tax cuts for the wealthy, right? And talk some talk. But if J.D. Vance can actually steer the conversation towards Americans need good jobs to provide for their families and housing, and then let freedom ring from that, that would be a boon in the next 4 years. There's a slight echo. Yeah, I need a little bit more cash. I'm trying to fix some sound issues with my setup here. So go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 a month so I can kind of redo my sound setup and give you a better product so that you don't have to deal with the slight echo, which apparently is coming through on this current setup. A lot of gizmos, and I just need, I'm running with some older equipment, so the computer I have creates slight problem. So I need to get some new equipment, and if you want me to get new equipment, go ahead and go to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50, and I will upgrade my setup, which is largely good in some ways, but not good in other ways, and I just need to buy my way out of some problems as opposed to kind of rig solutions that may not work as well as they should. So what I need for you is to understand that J.D. Vance did win the debate, and he also, the abortion issue is a little bit tricky because as a man who's pro-choice, I grew up in an era in the 90s where it was known that if you had an unplanned child, your whole world would, it derailed your whole world. Your whole life, you are now like, you screwed up. You screwed up. Like your whole life is a mess. It was known in the 90s that if you had an unplanned child, you screwed up and your whole life was going to be a wreck. And your only solution was an abortion or getting rid of the child. Now J.D. Vance comes along and he opens up the discourse for like, you know what, having an unplanned child, we need to make other options open for families so people can have families and make the world and make having a family such a more enhanced occupation and a more low stakes endeavor so that people can enjoy having families, the planned ones and the unplanned ones. So he's pro-family. Whereas liberals will tell you the solution is divorce. I mean, not divorce. The solution is abortion and abortion for all things. There can be room for conservatives to say that we can have this kind of state-by-state abortion law if we make it a national policy that no matter which state you lived in, having an unplanned child is not a bondage, being conscripted or consigned to a variety of slavery for the rest of your life. Right? So he's opening up the lane for conservatives to take the pro-life, but let's make having an unplanned, pro-life at a state-by-state basis, but let's make having a child not such a harsh determination. That is, I think, a good lane. Because I'm actually a fan of the Dobbs decision. Not a fan, I'm a soft fan. Like I said, I'm pro-choice in general, but I don't think the issue goes away, ever. So this state-by-state mandate actually seems like a reasonable compromise in a pluralistic democracy. But if we're going to have a reasonable compromise in a pluralistic democracy, we can't punish women for actually having their children. We can't punish people and families for having families. So we need, as a nationwide policy or suite of policies, to create a public sphere where having a child isn't like such a damning determination. Right? And I think actually Vance gets that. At least he portrayed that in the debate. Now, if all of the counter arguments are like, well, Vance lies and Vance lies and Vance lies, well, that means you can't actually debate the merit of his points. And the fact that the merit of the points only came from him and not Walz or Harris is a problem. So the political shifts we need a better quality of lie. Right? Clinton told the lie that offshoring jobs and production to China would lead to more freedom. So we need a better quality of lie in our political culture. And it's possible that J.D. Vance gives a better quality of lie, a more interesting and more interested, a more relevant quality of lie that our politics need. He also screwed up on the January 6th question. You could have easily turned that back and said we needed a primary. The big threat to democracy is the way these parties don't have real primaries. So apparently my sound is atrocious. And the best way for you to hear that, the best way for you to fix that is for you to go over to www.funkyacademic.com and kick in $5, $15, or $50 so I can get a new sound setup. But I'll do what I can on my side. But I do think we need a better quality of lie in our politics. And Vance may offer a better quality of lies to our politics. All right. So thank you for your time. And, you know, as it stands, I'm probably going to vote for Kamala Harris and Walz, but I'm open. I'm open. I'm open. I'm open. I like the idea of Vance running in 2028. I think he could bring the Republican Party, since there will always, like the poll, the Republican Party will always be with us. Since I think he can bring the Republican Party over to like the left in the same way that Clinton brought the Democratic Party over to the right, I like the idea of Vance being positioned to run and possibly even win in 2028. So there is that. All right. Take care, and I will talk to you next week talking about something a little bit different. Peace.